breaks and we keep it hype, you feel me? VP digital drops, market values never hazy. Stay tuned, the OG fault, the alpha here is crazy. Yes, OG Vol, welcome to the show. We got the cryptid tales, skeleton in a suit. Mo notes never fails. We talk elections, UFOs, and paranormal trails. Fast tech, NFTs, catch the latest crypto sales. From comments to conspiracies, we dropping knowledge daily. Photo finish, host breaks, and we keep the hype, you feel me? VP digital drops, market values never hazy. Stay tuned, the OG Vault, the alpha.
Creeping, air feel dense, room full of whispers, none make sense. Heartbeat echoes, the clocks tick slow. Vault cracks open, time to let it show. Specters lurking, cold in the chest. Ghostly voices, paranormally correct. Sips crawl upward, tension in the air. Baseline breathing, drums say beware. Paranormally correct. OG Vault in effect. Page electric beats resurrect. On a groove, spirits connect. OG Vault in effect. OG Vault, always direct. Paranormally correct. OG Vault in effect. Energy electric beats resurrect. On a groove, spirits connect. OG Vault in effect. OG Vault, always direct.
What's up, everybody? Ahoy, ahoy, Rob T and Diddy OC. We got OG Dr. Strange in the chat as well. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the new Tuesday live stream, Paranormally Correct. Unfortunately, my old co-host, Mo Knows from Tales from the Crypto, got sucked up by capitalism. He had to get himself an evening job, so he's not able to co-host with me anymore. So I decided to come up with another Tuesday show so I could hang out with the homies. And as Dr. Strange knows, I've had a couple of these paranormal type shows before. I love paranormal topics. I like getting into this stuff and researching it and finding things that I can't explain. And this is going to be kind of like that. It's going to be, I wanted to do something different, but unfortunately I'm not very creative. So it's going to be a lot like the last Tales from the Crypto Tuesday live stream that I did with Mo. We're going to have the same type of topics, paranormal, sports, politics, tech, and then I got everything else there on the end. I called it tech because we're going to talk about it. You can't really talk about crypto anymore, or can you? There's new YouTube rules out there that I have to be careful that I don't get in trouble for. So I'm going to call it tech, but we're probably going to talk about crypto today. We got lots of crypto news to talk about, especially that new Coinbase ICO platform that they just introduced. I think there's a lot of chances to make some money there. All right, I don't see my chat to where I can click on it. That's not good. Let me find that doc. Oh, this is new, so I got to, I think I already have it on here. See if I got my doc so I can click on y'all's names. I think this one's old. Let me fix that real quick and then we'll get started with the first topic. The paranormal topic, I'm sure Doc knows all about it. The Dyatlov passage incident. I've talked about it before, but it's really interesting. Like I said, let me get my doc on here so I'm able to click on y'all's names and bring them up if it works. These days you never know what's going to work. Let's go here. Tab. See if that works for me. Hope so. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. I know there's not going to be a lot of people here. It's a new show. Probably won't ever be a lot of people, but like I said, it's just to hang out with the homies. I don't really expect to get a lot of viewers or anything. So if you're watching this as a replay later on after the live stream, feel free to come by and hang out with us on Tuesdays. I'm going to be doing this every Tuesday, and you can always join in the conversation. Anybody who wants to join me as well during the stream, get on here and give me your opinions on the topics of that week. You can do that as well. Just get a hold of me. We'll hook it up. All right, first topic is going to be paranormal. All right, looks like that is working. Yes, sir. All right, let's get over here. See what Dr. Strange says. Always down to come on. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Get Dr. Strange on here. I actually want to look deeper into Dr. Strange. Well, there's only 4 people here, so I guess I could talk about it because it's a little bit controversial. But Dr. Strange gave me this theory that I've heard before, and he told me to look into it. I never did because I never took this theory seriously about how black people are actually the first Jews, or actually the real Jews. And then recently, though, because of all the Palestine stuff and all the, I guess, the hate against Israel these days, I've been getting into more knowledge of the history of Israel and the history of the Jewish people, and I'm starting to think maybe there is something to that, because the people who live in Israel and claim to be the Jewish people now, their DNA links them back to Eastern Europe, and it's pretty obvious on that. So who were the Jewish people that were in the Bible? So if you do come on, Doc, that might be something we dig into. And that's kind of something I want to do here with this stream a little bit more, as you'll be able to tell from today's stream, is dig into stuff a little bit more than I did with Tales from the Crypto, since I don't have a co-host. Maybe the clips will be a little bit longer, and we'll try to deep dive a little bit more than we did in the past. Yes, I definitely want to learn more about that for sure. Today's topic is going to be about the it's hard to pronounce because it's Russian. It's the Dyatlov Pass incident. So, of course, it happened out there in Russia. And this was back in February of 1959. So if you don't know the story, I'll give you the whole lowdown, and then we'll go through the theories. I want to see what you guys think is the most plausible theory here, because this is one of those things where it's like, I don't have an answer for it. Denny knows about it. He says, my thing with Dyatlov, the short version, it was in the 50s. LSD was very popular. That didn't even come up as one of the theories. I think they went up to the past to trip out, and he took too much. But all 9 of them, though? Let's get into the story, see what y'all think. I like to add that to my theory list. I like that. All right, so here's the actual 9 hikers that day. They were from Russia, of course. I don't even know if it was Russia, but it was probably somewhere up in that Eastern Europe area. And they were very experienced hikers. They knew what they were doing. They're from the Ural Polytechnic Institute in the Soviet Union, and they were on their way to Otorten Mountain. And they all had diaries and stuff. And if you look at the diaries after the whole incident, all the entries in the diaries, even up to that day, even up to the night before, all super normal. So whatever happened like in the middle of the night. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go missing. And when the people come to look for them, I think this is another actual picture that they took as they were just taking off towards the mountain. And as the searchers came to find it where they are, they found their tents. Their tents were still kind of standing up, and the stuff inside of them, they had skis inside and other things. That stuff wasn't damaged, which is going to come into play later, because there's a lot of theories. And with the tents still being up whenever they're discovered, the theories don't really make sense. Let's see, I got notes here about it. Yeah, the belongings were left behind. They didn't take their boots, they didn't take their coats. And one of the craziest parts of the whole thing is that they noticed the tents were cut from the inside. So I'm trying to put myself in these people's shoes as to what might have happened that night. So they go to bed, everything's normal. In the middle of the night, they're freaking out so much that they have to get out of there before they grab anything, and they cut the tents from the inside, which that's crazy, dude. Why don't you just go out the door? Maybe there are too many people in there and they had to get out right away. Why did they have to get out right away? All right, so they're looking around. They start finding the bodies. The bodies are scattered around the area. And like I said, y'all, this is the new show. This is the Paranormally Correct show. We're going to show you some of the, I don't even know if I'm allowed to, but there's only like 3 people watching. It's okay. I'm going to show you some of the actual photos that they found of the people when they discovered them. This one is not one of the photos. This is just like AI to give you an idea of what the scene looked like. But this is what some of the actual people that they found that day looked like. They were frozen, and they had a lot of weird injuries that don't make sense, that people couldn't figure out. For example, one of the ladies' eyes and tongue, I think she only had one tongue, were both ripped out. They don't know about why that happened. Some of the skulls were crushed. Some of them had broken ribs from the inside, but no wounds on the outside. So this guy was discovered. He was one of the people, and what they noticed about him is that he's carrying this camera, and that's going to come into play here in a second as well. He did have a camera, so some people wonder maybe everybody else is scrambling, trying to get out of there as soon as possible, and not grabbing their boots, not grabbing their coat, but this guy grabs his camera. Was it something like a UFO where he wanted to get footage of it? Because there are some pictures in that camera, which we're going to look at here in a second. Shout out to my homie Lil in the house. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. Yeah, we are back for, it's Alejandro. This is Lil Productions. We're back for Tuesdays. I figure we keep the whole Tuesday thing going since people are used to hanging out on Tuesdays. And as Denny knows, nobody else does shows on Tuesdays hardly. That's why mine's the best on Tuesday. Came up with that, smoking bongs, watching the doc on TV. It does, the acid thing makes sense. 1950s Russia, though. Were they doing that in Russia? All right, so that's kind of all the information about it. So now let's get into the theories. What caused this to happen? So keep in mind, several had massive internal injuries, including crushed skulls and no wounds, no exterior wounds. The bodies were scattered around. Two were near the campfire. There were some just out in the snow, and there were others in a ravine further away. In fact, some of the hikers traveled over a mile downhill, and I guess one of them tried to build a fire, and another one tried to climb a tree. And this was all before they were discovered. So it's not like something that happened, like maybe it was, but if it was an avalanche, you would think the avalanche happens, they run away, it's over, then they go back. But these guys never went back. They stopped and they built a fire and they tried to climb a tree. So the Soviet official report is that they died of compelling natural force. Or that don't even really say what it is, unless it's an avalanche. And an avalanche is currently the leading theory for scientists as to what happened. The problem, though, there's some problems with the avalanche theory. So currently most scientists accept this, and it says that it explains the panic, but the problem is the injuries and the tents. The tents, for example, were on a 15-degree slope, a less than 15-degree slope, and usually avalanches happen on, really steep slopes. Is that what you call it? Really steep slopes is when it's going to happen, and this was not an area that was prone to having these type of avalanches. And the searchers said they didn't see any signs of avalanche. There was no displaced snow, and none of the trees were broken, which usually happens in avalanches. And like we showed earlier with the tents, they were still remaining upright. So that doesn't make sense. They also found footprints in the snow. If there was an avalanche, you would think the footprints would be gone, but this is the official explanation, and we're going to look at some of the other explanations. None of those make sense. So right now you got to figure out, it had to be an avalanche because everything else is like paranormal. Was it really an avalanche? They had internal trauma but no external wounds. How could an avalanche do that? The woman had her eyes and her tongue missing, and they also found radiation on some of the clothes of the hikers. So I don't know, that's the leading theory. The question is that what it is? We're going to get into some of the theories that make more sense to me, maybe. I don't know, depends on how conspiratorial you are. Well, exactly. Well, shout out to the biggest bros in the chat. Let's go. We got gifts back, baby. Hopefully this one has sound now. Oh, yeah. Get down, Poopy. Biggest bros in the house. Let's go. I got to remember to use my gifts. All right. So, avalanche theory is the leading theory. The second theory is katabatic winds. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. I like saying it. I just heard the term for the first time, but they're katabatic winds. And katabatic winds not only are fun to say, but they come from, they're basically a deadly weather event that causes intense wind gusts. So the theory is that these katabatic winds came down the hill, even though there's not a lot of hills in the area, and terrified the hikers. They were freaking out, so they felt like they had to slice their way out of the tent and take off running. So the problems with this theory, of course, is that there's no physical evidence of extreme wind damage. The tents were still upright, and the tent fabric was ripped from the inside, not the outside. It doesn't explain the injuries, the crushed ribs, and the behavior of the hikers doesn't match a short-lived event. Like I said, they ran a mile downhill, and one guy created a fire, and one guy ran up a tree. So it's not like something that just happened and it was over. Also doesn't explain the radiation. Another one of the theories is military test, which, kind of hard to research that one. The only problem with it is that there's no hard proof. But then there's also the theory that possibly it was UFOs. Maybe UFOs came and was messing with them. I used to think it had something to do with Sasquatches. That's part of the theories too, and I'm going to show you why people think that too. All right, so here's the UFO theory. Now, there's actually a little bit of evidence that goes along with the UFO theory. On that same night, there were hikers that were 50 kilometers, sorry. This is Europe, or Asia actually. Hikers were about 50 kilometers away, and they said they saw some strange orange spheres to the north on that night. Similar spheres were also reported in a nearby area in the month of February and March, and this happened in February, not only by independent witnesses, but also by the military and the meteorology service. So the lead investigator on this whole case was named Lev Ivanov, and he was investigated in 1959. In 1990, he put out a book, and in his book, he says that his team reported seeing flying spheres during their investigation, but he was ordered by the regional official to dismiss that line of inquiry. So, of course, there's no hard proof for UFOs. Here's that quote right here. But what they did notice is whenever they looked at that camera we were talking about earlier, and they got to frame 34, This is frame 34. It's on the top left. The bottom and the top right is kind of analysis of it. I think the bottom, it says it on there, it's like infrared maybe or something. So some people are thinking that this was an alien, or I mean this was a UFO coming down on them. I'm not sure what else it could be. This was just, it was the last picture he took before he disappeared. You can see where they tried to say that this is a hexagon, and then, I mean, a bit of a stretch there. And then there's one more theory. Like Denny said, it's the Sasquatch. The thing about the Sasquatch theory is that in that same camera, if you go back, that was frame 34, that was the last picture he took. But if you go back to frame 17 of that camera, this is the picture that he took. And there's really no context to it. They don't know why he took this picture. Some people say maybe that was another hiker. It was just during the trip. Some people think it might be some type of cryptid, and that's what attacked them. Because the type of injuries they had are really strange. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think it was? Let's do a poll. I was going to do it on Twitch today too, but the app that I downloaded for OBS is straight trash. So I got to use Restream, which gives me a bunch of lag. But I might do it anyway next week. This week, though, we'll just do YouTube only. Okay, so what do you think happened? We'll just say to the hikers. You know which hikers I'm talking about. Was it avalanche? Was it UFOs? I'm going to take the... I don't even know. What was it? Thing that's fun to say, katabatic wind. We're gonna take katabatic wind out. We're gonna put should we say Bigfoot, Sasquatch? I mean, that could be abominable snowman, any of those. All right, what do y'all think? You got all the information there. You know that the lady was missing her eyes and her tongue. You know that they cut the tent from the inside. You know what it looked like when they found it. Dude hiked a mile away and started a fire. Radiation. I mean, I should put acid on there. They only give me 3 options. You can, if you want to vote on acid, just say it in the chat, because that was a pretty good theory as well. Does that sound like a bunch of bad tripping? Yeah, but okay, let's say they're tripping and they're tripping out. You think one of the other people cut out that girl's tongue and her eyes? I mean, if you're tripping out bad enough, that's possible. Broken ribs, yeah. I mean, you got to be tripping to leave your tent in all this snow and walk a mile away and start a fire. Like, you're not in your right state of mind. What was the other picture? I'll try to find them all. Do you think most of the injuries were caused after their death? Oh, by animals. How long was it? That's not something I researched. I wonder how long it was that they were missing before they were found. I mean, you're talking the 1950s. It's not like it could have been fast. Lately, there's been a lot of correlation made with UFOs and Bigfoots together. This falls into that realm. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Bigfoot stuff lately, especially in it's like the South Dakota, North Dakota area, maybe Minnesota. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff about that. That's another good topic to dig into. So yeah, let's see what the poll's at. Everybody thinks avalanche, or maybe only one person voted. Yeah, one person thinks avalanche. That is the scientific conclusion. It just doesn't explain a lot of things. Why is there still footprints in the snow if there was an avalanche? Why did old dude run away and start a fire in an avalanche? That don't make sense. I don't know. One of those things that you can't explain. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to be doing sports just like we did with Tales from the Old Crypto. We got a new sports baseball card background. Looking for some vintage cards to put on there, even though it's not really HD. It was weeks, I think, before. Oh, okay. I would think I was kind of going on the idea that it was maybe a couple days, 3 days. But if it was weeks, then were there bears out there in the Soviet Union? Probably, yeah. And a bear could tear up some, but there was no outer wounds. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, for you NFL watchers, I'm trying to keep up with the NFL now thanks to my Colts. Looking good this season. I think they're 8-2, and they have a bye week. They just played Atlanta, and they played in Germany, and they won in overtime. I have not been keeping up with football very much. I'm more of a basketball these days. I used to be more of a football guy. These days, I'm more of a basketball guy. But now that my Colts are in the running and they're going to be in the playoffs, I'm going to start paying attention more, I promise. The NBA scandal, I'm sure you guys heard about that. I don't know how much you guys watch the NBA, but there's a big, huge scandal going on right now. It happened, 2 weeks ago, I think. More than 30 people were charged by the FBI for illegal sports betting and rigging some high-stakes poker games. Dude on the far left is Chauncey Billups. I think he's in the Hall of Fame. He's like an old school basketball player, point guard. He won some championships, but now he's the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers. He was charged. Dude in the middle is Terry Rozier. He's on the roster for the Miami Heat right now. He's a guard. He was charged. I think he's like suspended now. And the dude on the right is Damon Jones, played with LeBron. So a lot of people got charged. Billups was charged with helping to run, promote rigged games. And they apparently had ties to the mafia, the Gambino mafia. I don't know if that's what it says. But they were using like getting stars in there. Like maybe you got Charles Barkley in town that day. Charles Barkley's going to be at this poker game, so you get these high rollers. They come in, you get to play with Charles Barkley, and they get them in there. But they got all these tricks and stuff. Like I was seeing where they had these sunglasses and the cards. You could see like they were like black light or something. You could see what the card is on the back, but nobody else could see it unless you had the sunglasses on. So they were straight ripping people off, and they got caught big time on that. And then the sports betting scheme, several were involved. Terry Rozier apparently was telling people to bet on him to score under like 10 points for a game. And then in the first quarter, he pretends that he has a knee injury and sits out the rest of the game. So all the people that betted on him to score less than 10 won, and they're starting to find out about this stuff. And now they're all getting caught up for it. Of course, there's a lot of people who think that it's targeted, like revenge targeted. My man Stephen A. Smith, definitely not my man. I'm not a big fan of Stephen A. Smith. He's weird. I don't know if he's a Republican or a Democrat. He's talking about running for president. He says that this whole gambling bust is Trump's revenge, and it's only the beginning. He says to watch out for my favorite, the WNBA is next. He says because you got all these protests that are going on out there, and people have been protesting against him. And this man is coming. He says, I watched a press conference with the director of the FBI. Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen accusations before, like when it comes to the NBA. We've seen athletes get in trouble, but you'll never see the director of the FBI being involved with it and having a press conference about what's going on in the NBA. He's like, it's not an accident. It's a statement, and it's a warning that more is coming. I don't know if that's true. I don't know about that, but, I mean, I think it was pretty clear that they were caught. I think they had all the evidence they needed on them, so whether it was revenge or not, they did the crime, they do the time. My son just won his high school basketball championship. Let's freaking go. Let me get some gifts out here. I ain't use my gifts for it. Well, here you go. DNC's happy for you. Shout out to Denny OC. Congratulations to his son. Big sports guy. Won his high school championship, back-to-back champs now. So is it football? Because I know he was good at football, but I thought he played more than one sport. Yep, football. Good stuff. That's what we like to see. None of that soccer crap. American football. I hope that's what you're talking about. We don't do soccer around. We don't call football soccer around here. All right. And, of course, the other thing going on in basketball is me, as usual, being proven correct. Like I've always been telling y'all, Wemby is the GOAT. This year, I don't remember, Victor Wembanyama is the center for the San Antonio Spurs. I think it's his third year. Yeah, third year in the league. And it's the dude that's like 7'3". But the thing is, he grew another 2 inches. He's 7'5" now. And he is just crushing everybody. All right, here, I'm just going to show all the highlights from last night. This is just last night against the Chicago Bulls. And just watch this man. It's like a cheat code. It's like you're playing NBA 2K and you created a dude that's taller than everybody else. And it's like he's playing against kids, man. He scored like 38 points last night. I think he like leads the league. I know he had one bad game. I don't know. But people are saying he's going to be MVP easy because he's got the blocks. He's got the rebounds. He's got the scoring. All three categories. Here, let me play it a little bit.
95 straight games with a rejection. 95.
Yeah, and he's got a smaller De'Aaron Fox on him. He's able to get away from, figure that two of those three guys are going to be on the court at all times.
Harper did not make the trip to Chicago. The Spurs had him stay back. Home Wembanyama! Oh my goodness!
I think he had like 5 blocks in the first half. I'm thinking they're going to win the championship this year. He's that good. I don't know. There's some good teams out there right now. The Lakers are looking good with Luka. The Rockets are looking real good. The Thunder, I think, are still undefeated, last year's champs. But look at your boy. He's not just dunking and blocking. He's shooting 3. He shot like 4 3s or made like 4 3s in this clip. And we'll keep it exciting here. It goes down to the very end and see what happens at the end. This was last night's game. Another block. He can move for, yeah, he's quick. And he's getting bigger. They're saying he might grow another 2 inches. He's 7'7" now. 7'7", and shooting threes like that, it don't seem right. Like, you can even create this dude in 2K. They wouldn't allow you to give somebody that tall that good at three-pointers. Here he is, yakking it. All right, I'm going to let it play here in a minute when we get to the fourth quarter, because this was a good game, and it ended. It was a tough win for the team that got it. The Bulls got that one guy. He's like this foreign guy, and this is the first year he's been good. I wish I could remember his name. But he's been dunking on people, looking real strong. Point guard, and he acts like a shooting guard. Sits in the corner and just shoots threes. And then look, he didn't even jump on that. Watch the replay on this. He jumped a little bit, of course. I think I've seen him dunk without jumping before. And the Spurs, not only do they have Wemby, they got last year's Rookie of the Year, which I think is Castle. And this year they got the second pick, which was Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son. And right now he's one of the top rookies in the league. So, I mean, they're going to be good for a long time. All their players are young. Man, all right, it's down to the fourth quarter. It looks like right now the Bulls are up by about 5-7 minutes left. We're just seeing the Wemby highlights, but it's about to go down to the game winner. Maybe not a game winner, but it's going to go down to the end. He's got jumpers. He's got rebounds. He's got blocks. I always said, though, he's got to stay healthy. All right, 1 minute left.
Officially got a double-double. Big shot!
1 minute left. He hits the clutch three to tie it.
Tied at 114. Wemby again.
He just had to feel that he was going to take that shot. Just supreme confidence in the fourth quarter.
Crowd on its feet here inside of the United Center.
Now he's a
Ninth
clutch
time we've been tied. And Barnes rejected Jones.
Just the rebound. I think they said that was a block.
You push it up. Be very wary of the defense. And Victor,
All right,
he
so
might
these
fall
clutches
off the
tied up.
ball here.
35 seconds
He's
left.
feeling it.
Wembanyama with the ball in his hands. He's got 33.
He's like 21 years old, maybe.
Shot clock going down. Vucevic guarding. Wembanyama
Shoots the three and hits it, and they win the game. My man is clutching everything. He got it all. I
Off
don't
of
know.
that play, and then, of course,
Like I always say, when you're that tall and skinny, it's all about staying healthy. So as long as he stays healthy, I mean, I don't know. Is he going to be the GOAT? He's looking good. He's fun to watch. There's more players. I saw a dude that was 7'10" just recently. It was a college game. He got his first playing time coming off the bench during like dirt time or whatever. But he's really, really young, like 16, 17 years old. Who knows what he could develop into? Yes, that's the dude I was talking about. I don't think that's exactly how you spell it, but Buzelis for the Bulls. Yeah, Buzelis is pretty impressive. All right, y'all ready to get into some politics? You know, it's my favorite topic. I never did switch the wallpaper on this, did I? Same one as from Tales from the Crypto. But yeah, we got lots of stuff to talk about with politics, like always. When it comes to Trump, he has this whole strategy of flood the media with all kinds of different stuff so that you can't focus on some of the most important stuff that's happening. But it is what it is. We'll focus on the stuff that I picked out for today. Let's start off with something fun, though.
Please raise your right hands. I, and state your name.
So this is him at the Washington Senators NFL game, and a lot of people have been talking about this mainly because of the big boos, and you can see from his reaction he was hearing the boos. But what I don't understand that nobody is mentioning here, listen to it again. He says, I, then state your name. So literally he's reading something that's telling him to say I, and then literally state your name. But this guy's so intelligent that he's literally read I, then state your name. Listen, nobody's said anything about this.
Please raise your right hands. I, and state your name.
And he says it confidently too. He like puts it like he's saying something. It just cracks me up, man. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But he never said his name, so it didn't count. Yeah, so he shouldn't even, whatever he was trying to pledge to, he didn't actually pledge to it because he didn't state his name. All right, biggest news probably going on in politics right now is the shutdown. That shutdown's been going on for, I don't know, over a month. maybe not that long, I'm not sure, but it is, I think, the longest shutdown in American history. And it finally just, well, I don't think it's actually technically ended yet. They're trying to get it through the Senate. Now the House of Representatives has to vote on it, but they're expected to vote on it because they just need a simple majority. The Senate, though, was the ones that were having trouble getting it through. And a big controversy about it was, is this the Schumer shutdown because they want to give health care to illegals? Or is this the Trump shutdown because he wants to get rid of subsidies for the ACA or Obamacare? I think it was really dirty the way that Schumer did it, because Chuck Schumer, of course, is the leader of the Democrats, and he's kind of the one who comes up with these decisions, decides what they're going to do, and he decided that he's going to cave and he's going to go ahead and reopen the government. The way he did it, though, is you take out John Fetterman here because he's just messed up in the head after his accident, but the other 7 senators that ended up voting in favor of reopening the government are all senators who are either retiring or not up for election again until 2030. So he purposely got all these people he picked out the people that were going to vote in favor of reopening the government, and he picked out people that would not be affected by it in the next election. And then Schumer himself went on the floor and voted against reopening the shutdown and tried to act like he was against it. So it just shows how crooked this dude is. And like, everybody is against Schumer right now. The right, the left, the far left, the center. I mean, this dude needs to like step down. They did this whole thing, the whole shutdown, and they really didn't get anything for it. I think the deal for them to reopen it was that they promised to have another vote in December, which really doesn't mean nothing, because even if the Senate does have another vote in December, it doesn't mean that the House of Representatives is going to have that same vote. So it looks really bad on the Democrats. And it was right after they got these big wins in these last elections, too. So a lot of people are like, why didn't you use that momentum? Instead, you're kind of going against that momentum now by caving into the Republicans. And I think Schumer did it because he wants you to think that the reason why Democrats won so big in that last election on Tuesday was because of the shutdown, and that he was right. And now that he can end it because we won. So it's just all bad. It's all bad for the left right now. Another big news was the tweet from Donald Trump saying that apparently we got some stimulus coming, $2,000 per person as, I guess, a refund from the tariffs that the other countries apparently pay, according to Trump, although we all know that we're the ones that, or at least American businesses are the ones that pay the tariffs. So he's saying that we're going to get $2,000 each, but then after that, his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on CNN, or was it ABC? Went on ABC and was talking about it, and they asked him, when are we going to get this $2,000 checks? What's going to happen with them? And he was like, chill out. He's like, it could come in lots of forms. He even mentioned that maybe that $2,000 stimulus is part of no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security. So are we actually getting a stimulus check? Polymarket doesn't think so. 90% chance that Trump does not follow through on his $2,000 tariff dividend promise. I'm still waiting for the Doge dividends. Weren't we supposed to get some Doge money? I know it's like the 3rd time. So I don't think anybody is expecting that. But I think the stock market like kind of pumped a little bit on it. At least the crypto market did, because last time we got a stimulus was during the pandemic and crypto went wild. So I saw a lot of tweets about that. And prices did go up, as we're going to talk about when we get to tech, on a lot of crypto. So I think that had something to do with it. Another thing that a lot of people have been talking about this week was the SNAP benefits. So with the government being shut down, of course, there was a worry that people weren't going to get their SNAP benefits. And previously, I think it was Congress that had set aside a bunch of money in case this happened that was just for spending on SNAP. But Donald Trump decided that he didn't want to use that money, and he even sued in order to not use that money to pay people, or to, give people their SNAP. And I don't really understand why he was so hardcore against it. He's acting like we can't afford it. But on the other hand, he's saying we're getting trillions of dollars in tariffs. So how can we not afford something that we already have money set aside for? A lot of people were talking trash. Maybe this is just Twitter, but from what I could see, a lot of people were going hard against the people who receive SNAP, talking about how they're all lazy bums. Nobody should get SNAP. Get off your butt. So I saw this tweet where they were talking about how actually almost 50% of SNAP recipients work full-time. So that's pretty messed up. If you got a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and you still don't make enough to not qualify for SNAP, like isn't that on the employer? Shouldn't the employer be paying more? And of course, 39% are children. So doing the math, that's 87. That's only like 13% that are not working, and you got to think some of those might be disabled. Who knows? So I don't know. I didn't like this, all the hate that they had against the SNAP recipients. It's always they want to blame the poor people when we had huge wealth inequality that everybody admitted was a big problem, and now wealth inequality is growing exponentially fast, and we're going to point at the poor people? Come on. It don't make sense to me. This was the recent, I don't really understand why he's doing this, but he's saying what we need is 50-year mortgages for houses. That'll solve everything. A 50-year mortgage for a house. So somebody was doing the math on it. If you're getting a $400,000 house, or a mortgage anyway, your monthly payment would only go down by $292, but the amount of your loan would go up like $400,000. So really this idea, like all of Trump's ideas, is pro-business. It's anti-consumer, anti-citizen. It's for the business. It's bad against us. So not only that, they also said something about 15-year car loans, even though most cars, I think average lifespan is 12 years. So these are some of the proposals that have been coming out this week. There was a big tweet from Donald Trump about healthcare, where his new plan, I don't even understand this one. Maybe y'all can explain it to me. But apparently he says, let's not send the money to the insurance companies anymore. Let's send it directly to the people. But how much does it cost to have a baby? That's like $80,000 or something. They're not going to send you $80,000. So what is he talking about? This is another one where it feels like he's doing something that helps the big businesses, but it doesn't help the actual patients or the consumers, the citizens. Unless somebody can understand why he's doing this. It don't make sense to me. We got Triple OG Thanu in the chat. What's up, Thanu? This is my new Tuesday show. Like usual, we're getting into politics. We're getting into paranormal stuff, sports, all my favorite stuff. 50 years to pay off your house. So the thing is, they expect you to die before then, and then most likely the bank will be able to own your house. So it's just a horrible idea all around. It's a horrible idea all around, and believe it or not, this is the guy coming up with all these ideas. First president to ever be photographed asleep at the Resolute desk. The other day, Donald Trump fell asleep during one of his cabinet meetings. And surprisingly, and I tweeted about this, I didn't hardly see this anywhere on Twitter. I know Elon Musk controls the algorithm, but if that was Joe Biden, oh my God, you would never see the end of that picture. It was just crazy to me out. Nobody really talked about that at all. Maybe it's just because the news stations I watch, I don't know. Another bit of hypocrisy that we saw this week was after all this talk about Zoran Mondani being a jihadist and being a Muslim and 9/11 and can't believe that he's going to be the mayor of New York. Just yesterday, during Veterans Day, in the Oval Office, Trump met with a former Al-Qaeda jihadist who is on the FBI's most wanted list. And yeah, he had a $10 million bounty on his head just a year ago. And whenever he was asked about it, Trump was like, oh man, people say he's had a rough past. We've all had rough past. It's like the hypocrisy kind of just shows you who's full of crap. He's just resting his eyes. Well, when you're 80 years old, you got to rest your eyes once in a while. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cute. This just came out about the UK has decided that they're going to cut all intelligence sharing with the U.S. when it comes to Caribbean drug trafficking boats. Of course, this comes after the Trump administration has bombed, I don't even know at this point, 5-6 boats in the Caribbean Sea. And some of them ended up being Colombian. I think one of them ended up being a whole different country. They've never proved that these people are drug runners that they keep bombing. And the whole thing with Venezuela, if you know the whole story behind it, during his first term, Trump tried to do regime change in Venezuela and failed. And he's even on tape saying, I was so close in between his terms whenever Biden was president. Trump is quoted as saying that he was so close to having control of Venezuela, we could have took all their oil. He literally says, we got to take all their oil. Now that he's president again, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to start up a war with them so he could take their oil. And of course, it's just crazy to me how the tax money pays for our military, which does something like this. But whenever they seize that oil goes to private oil companies and they get all the gains for what our tax money paid for, whether it's right or wrong. We're always the ones that pay for something but get no benefit from it. At least maybe our gas will be 5 cents cheaper by a gallon. This poll just came out yesterday. Do you think taxes should be raised on billionaires? Democrats, 95% yes. Independents, 75% yes. Republicans, nah, we shouldn't tax those billionaires. I'm going to be a billionaire one day. I feel like Republicans are just, I think that they don't want to tax billionaires because they literally think maybe I'll be a billionaire one day. They'll be sitting in their trailer, their mom's trailer, talking about that could be me one day. If this OMI, bro, if Kraken lists OMI, I'm going to be rich. No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. So this is kind of what I want to do. I don't know if it's going to work out well, but I kind of want to do a deep dive in politics each week. And this is going to be the deep dive that I want to do. Here, let me get my notes out here. This is something, I thought about doing like a whole video on this, maybe doing some political videos because I'm not doing anything on my channel anyway, so why not? But this is something that I thought about kind of diving into and having a whole entire video about it. So let's just start off slow. This is basically a theory that I had before I found out that it was something that was already proven, something that's true. Do I got some OMI? Hell no. I wish I did it. What up, 40%? We're going to talk about that for sure. All right, so back in the day, let's go way, way back to like 500 BC, 550 BC, you had the Empire of Persia. And Persia, before this time, all these empires were kind of in their own places. Like if you think about Irish people, and you think about Italian people, they're really not that far away from each other in terms of geography. But they've been separated from each other so long throughout time that they're completely different. One of them has red hair and light skin. One of them has dark hair and dark skin. So you can see that all these civilizations were all separated for a long, long time. And it wasn't until Persia began to try to take over the world, to try to start conquering land, that people started to spread out more. And as Persia was conquering these lands and spreading out, they were also spreading their DNA. And what we saw, or what you can see in history, is that right after or during this Persian spreading out of their civilization, new things started to happen. People began to get smarter and invent new things. So, for example, Persian builders used Greek columns and Egyptian stoneware and created Persepolis, which is one of the ancient wonders of the world. Engineers from many lands came together and created the Royal Road, which was a 1,700-mile road, and the world had never seen anything like that before then, but it took the combining of all these people to kind of reach that next level in technology. And then you had in the, 200 BCs, around that time, you started to have the rise of the Roman Empire. And for hundreds of years, the Roman Empire started off in the middle of Italy and began to spread out. And as they spread out, they were one of the first civilizations to start spreading out this way and conquering, and not only conquering, but taking their women, breeding with their women, spreading their DNA. And after that time, whenever they conquer everybody, suddenly civilization kind of rises up in art and rises up in theology and rises up in technology. And of course, Rome had more of a theology, had stronger thinkers. They had Socrates and Plato and all that. Well, that was Greece, right? But, they were more thinkers than the rest of the civilized world at that time. But they spread that around, and they didn't only spread out their ideas, they spread out their DNA. And it's harder to see direct correlations with stuff that happened back in, BC time. But if we look at more recent times, like the British Empire, you can see that after the British Empire kind of spread out across the world and started colonizing places, not only British Empire, but Spain was doing it at the same time. Right afterwards, in that same time span, all of a sudden you got new chemistry invented. All of a sudden, you've got medicine for malaria. All of a sudden, the steam engine is invented. You got railways for the first time. You got antiseptics. You got the telegraph. All this stuff is invented after the spread of this DNA and after all these different genetic types come together. And we're going to get more into it as to how that works. And then, of course, the biggest example is the melting pot of America. So America, in particular, had all people from all these different walks of life, all these different societies coming together. And then right after they come together, within 100 years, within 150 years, we're the greatest, most powerful, smartest, and richest country in the world. And there's a reason for that. It's because all these people combine their DNA. You got people from Germany hooking up with people from Italy, and people from Spain hooking up with people from Poland or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So You can see in science, and we're going to get into the science behind it, that there's a reason behind why this happened. You can even see it in the Harlem Renaissance. This were people from different parts of Africa all putting together in the same area. And if you look at the size of Africa and you compare it to the size of Europe, somebody who's from Northeast Africa is just as far away from somebody in Southwest Africa as somebody in Ireland is from Italy. So this is something that I had already recognized growing up, just from listening to history and understanding what history was, and seeing America in particular, and understanding that that's why America became the smartest and greatest country in the world. But it wasn't until this one moment when I was watching one of my favorite shows, The Big Bang Theory, and I saw this particular clip.
Now that Leonard's made me aware of how high the genetic stakes are, we have to face the fact that none of you are suitable mates for my sister.
Wait a minute, Leonard made you aware of that?
We all make mistakes. Let's move on.
Excuse me, but I think you're missing a big opportunity here.
How so?
Everybody knows genetic diversity produces the strongest offspring. Why not put a little mocha in the family latte?
In principle, you have a point. But as a practical matter, need I remind you that it takes experimental pharmaceuticals to simply enable you to speak to the opposite sex?
Right, so that one kind of surprised me because I didn't know it was something that had already been proven by science, because I had already realized that that's what was going on through history and through America. But if you go into the science behind it, oops, sorry, got a little too ahead of myself there. If you get into the science behind it, you can see, if you really want to dig into it, and I wanted to dig into it if I was going to try to present this to other people and not just say science says so. So basically, if you start looking into why it is that way, it comes down to every person carries thousands of genetic traits, and some traits are strong and some traits are weak. And this is just kind of the way biology works. When two people from similar backgrounds have children, those weak traits can double up. And then a lot of times that's where you get people that are related to each other. When they have children together, the children have birth defects. It's kind of the same thing there. So when parents come from different genetic lineages, their child inherits a wider mix of defenses and talents, and also fewer harmful mutations. So stronger immune systems, they are healthier, and they even often have more adaptable minds. Geneticists call it heterosis. Hybrid vigor is another word for it. And farmers use hybrid vigor when they crossbreed their crops for resilience. So this is something that people have used over time and have realized over time, just when it comes to crops, that breeding different DNA strands together gives you positive results. And geneticists and some people have realized that that's true in humans as well. In biology, variety isn't chaos, it's protection. So it's not something that's brand new or anything. There's a lot of people who understand this, but not a ton. And I feel like a lot of the racist people, if they understood this, they wouldn't be as racist. But that's my point here. I think that this is done on purpose. The elites know that dumb people are easier to control. So the elites want people to be dumb. The dumber they are, the easier they are to control, right? And they know that breeding with people of different ethnicities results in smarter offspring because they have more diverse DNA. So the elites purposely push racist narratives and encourage racism so that they can lessen the amount of people that are having ethnically diverse DNA, right? You can see that they're going hard against college right now. Like, they're anti-education all the way. And you can see that the way that they're treating Hispanics and trying to deport as many Hispanic people while simultaneously importing as many white South Africans as possible. This is what it's all about right there. They're trying to keep people from mixing DNAs, when in fact, in order for society to progress, we need to mix DNAs. So the whole narrative now is against multiculturalism. That whole narrative, in my opinion, is purposeful because they don't want us to mix DNA. So I don't know what you think. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Doctor does not agree with this theory totally. I think I've talked to Doc about this, especially about the Harlem Renaissance and my family being coined as Africans, being the reason for the Black American resurgence. What do you mean? Would your family not have come from Africa? My point is that Africa is so large that, let's say, I mean, I don't know exactly how the slave trade worked, but let's say they were taking slaves from Northern Africa, Central Africa, Southern Africa, put them in different places. Now everybody gets free, and a whole lot of Africans from different places. I mean, of course, they've been there for generations. Of course, this goes down generations. They've been there they're Americans now. They've been there for 7, 8 generations. But then they all go to the same place, the same area, New York, Harlem, and then you're mixing a bunch of DNA that was separated throughout history for a long time. Appreciate you thinking new. Just came in for the big fan of the Big Bang. Yes, one of my favorite shows. I always know about the show, but never pay attention. Finally, Raj got me from YouTube Shorts. Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while, but I do love watching that show. I'll run through the whole series every once in a while because it's good. That one in The Office, and of course, Heroes is my favorite. So yeah, that's my theory. I thought about getting into it, making a whole video kind of showing all the advances in technology that happened after civilizations conquered the world or their part of the world. It's really interesting to me. All right, let's move on to our tech topic of the week. And like I said, I have to call it tech now because YouTube is apparently updating their policy for gambling content, which includes digital goods, which includes crypto and NFTs. So it's kind of complicated. I wanted to look into the details of it. What they're saying is content promoting or directing users to gambling platforms where digital assets, including NFTs, are wagered. So would you say that NFTs are wagered on BB? I don't think we do any type of wagering. So I think we should be fine there. People who do BB content anyway. Videos to linking to uncertified gambling sites involving digital goods, even if they don't involve traditional cash. Now, are blind boxes gambling? That's really the question I have. Because if you say that blind boxes are gambling, then you can't really do BB content on YouTube anymore. Is Panini drops? Is that gambling? Doc says, correct. Technically, everyone came from Africa. Only 6% of Africans made it to American shores. My lineage in America and many other misclassified blacks goes back before the slave trade. Well, I'm sure of that. I mean, you know about the mitochondrial Eve. The mitochondrial Eve is a woman who lived in Central Africa tens of thousands of years ago that every human on the planet Earth right now can trace their DNA back to. So yeah, everybody came from Africa. Although now they're saying like maybe civilization started in the Middle East and then moved to Africa. I don't know. That's kind of like a new theory. All right, so yeah, that's the YouTube thing. I don't think it's really going to affect BB channels or crypto channels, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, it depends on what you call blind boxes and NFT drops, because in a way it is gambling. This is big news that I just heard about right before I went live. I didn't know this was a thing right now. This seems like a huge opportunity. Did you know Coinbase is launching ICOs now? So basically like Pump.Fun. It's like Pump.Fun on Coinbase. And they were saying when I was watching, I think it was Philip DeFranco talking about it, basically when it comes to any other platform that launched ICOs from crypto, they all ended up being scams. So, you know, Coinbase can't be a scam. So people are kind of wishy-washy on this. Like they don't know if they should get involved or not. To me, it seems like a good opportunity. So basically, Coinbase announced that the upcoming launch of a new token sales platform that will allow U.S. retail investors to participate in ICOs, initial coin offerings, for the first time since the token sale hysteria. I don't remember that. I didn't get into it till 2020. Apparently, there was a hysteria back in 2017 and 18, which eventually ended in disaster for many crypto speculators, as crypto usually does. They moved to launch this platform. Comes just a few weeks after Coinbase acquired Echo. I don't know what Echo is, but that's the thing. They're going to be doing their own ICOs now, on their meme coin launches, basically, right? And the first one's Monad, and I went to find out more about Monad. I didn't find out a lot about it, but I did see that the public sale has been announced already. It's November 17th. Anybody into this? Anybody plan on buying Monad, or has this been reading up on the Coinbase ICOs? I feel like there's money to be made, especially on the first one. Like, that's got to be a W, right? Danny says, the other day, MC says BB is safe on BE's show and win a giveaway from BB, but never got it in my wallet. Maybe when MC saw my name, he's in the ball giveaway. No, because I see you go into lots of other live streams, Danny. Everybody knows who you are, so that definitely isn't the problem. I would just contact MC. Don't try to contact BE. He's lame. He won't get back to you, but MC should be able to help you out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about VB being safe, though. Oh, my goodness. We're going to talk about that now. For anybody who watches my channel because they got into it through VB and maybe they don't follow the other VB channels or the VB community, you should probably know that there's a big change happening almost a week from tomorrow, November 19th. So starting at, I guess, midnight on November 19th Pacific time, collectors will be able to convert their OMI tokens for gems via Stacker, which sounds good, but the other thing is you will no longer be able to withdraw your gems from the app. So if you have gems in your VB account and you want to withdraw them after November 19th, you have to convert them to OMI, send them to this Stacker website, and then withdraw them through your wallet. Withdraw them to your wallet through the Stacker website, which you have to KYC on as well. And the Stacker website is ran by Dr. Profit, who is an OG VB well, but not the most trustworthy person. Yeah, it sounds really promising to me, Alejandro. It's brand new. I just found out about it. So it also says gems are going to become an in-app licensed product. So gems from now on, they're not dollars anymore. They're their own thing. They're a licensed product sold by VB that's non-transferable. I mean, to me, this spells the end for VB, but a lot of people disagree. More information about it for anybody who's wondering. To allow VB to integrate those gems into licensed digital products, VB is going to act as the intermediary for all transactions on the secondary markets. This means buying and selling will be smoother. I don't know about that. So there's no change to how you use the VB market. Everything will be the same. It's all about cashing out, though. So just an update for anybody who is a VB collector. I've never used Stacker before either. You're going to have to. That's the thing. How are you ever going to get new users? How are you ever going to get new users when they have to cash out through Stacker? Please explain it to me. But for the good news, just announced OMI. I mean, I guess this is true, right? I saw where the Acomi Twitter responded to this. I didn't see Foster Hilt respond to it. Apparently, I don't know if I believe I shouldn't even be announcing this because how many times has this happened and then it not been true? Apparently, OMI is going to be listed on Kraken. And of course, I'm sure it's pumping right now out of the news. This was just a couple hours ago where it came from VB Viral, and that was the first I heard of it. The thing is, like 7 hours before that, I saw this from Shrumpalump. The homie Shrumpalump talks about how OMI is up nearly 45% this week. What does that mean? We just had a big announcement about OMI getting listed on Kraken today. But for the last week, people have been buying it. So they knew that this announcement was coming? Who do you think's been buying it? Come on, man. This seems pretty shady to me. So for the last week, somebody's been buying this up. In my opinion, they probably knew that this Kraken announcement was coming. His name's... I don't know, man. When I mentioned to the VB Viral, he said that OMI's been following ETH, bro. But when has OMI ever followed ETH? I remember many times where I saw the charts and like, everything's green, OMI's red. Or everything's red, OMI's green. So, I'm super skeptical of the whole thing. I don't even mess with VB at all anymore. I'm going to hold the few things that I have. I've got a couple of the Becky Cloonan Batmans. I mean, I can't sell anything. I've got a number 9 special edition. Yeah, of course. You could probably go and look at the blockchain data on it. And I think I've got like 80 or 90 gems, and I might actually go in, I think November 17th or 18th might be the best time to buy the lowest prices, because they'll probably get a pump after November 19th, although it won't be sustained. But I might go in and buy a couple of things that I'm planning on holding for like 5 or 10 years and just not even look in my app, although you do have to log in every couple of years or you will lose access. I saw somebody in the VB Facebook group who was complaining that they had lost access to their account after not signing on for 2 years. So if you're holding stuff and you plan on keeping it, be sure to sign on every couple of years. And all right, we got Panini. Anybody in the chat doing Panini? There's a drop, was it tomorrow? The drop tomorrow is this FOTL packs with the Dutch auction, and like the minimum price is $1,000, and it's WNBA, so I don't care nothing about that. But there is another pack drop happening on Friday, and that one's $35 per pack. I think I've got it listed here, the edition size on those packs. 30,150 packs, 4 cards per pack. So if you haven't been following along with Panini, they have drops every 3 weeks, it seems like. They had an NBA drop not too long ago that I did really well on, made like $1,200 in an hour. But that was their last NBA drop, and then they lost the NBA license. Then after that, they were doing this NASCAR drop that I thought about going for. Maybe I'll stream, maybe I'll max out and buy them all. But I was like, it's a NASCAR. Nobody likes NASCAR. Well, they sold out right away, and the packs went for more than twice the retail price. So I slept on those, and I feel like maybe I should go for this one. I'm thinking about live streaming in it. It is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is the time of the drop. I doubt I will max out. Probably if I'm going to live stream it by at least one. I don't know. I have to ask around. I don't see anybody in the chat that's messing around with Panini, but a lot of people in my Discord do. So far, they've been saying that the edition size is too high. But I'm not going to sleep on this. I'm probably going to go for the drop and hope to get lucky. Hope to get me some Caitlin Clarks. Please buy at least 1 million OMI. Yeah, at this point, it's only like $100. Yeah, but I still don't want OMI, though. It's just ew to me. It's like, you should buy some OMI, bro. And I'm like,
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Brother, ew. Yeah, I could not believe the NASCAR. It's like, who likes NASCAR? So if NASCAR can sell out, now I don't know the edition size of that pack drop. And they're saying this 30,000 editions is too much. But Panini's been hot. But of course, Panini gets hot and they do the same thing BB does. Oh, we're hot. Let's jack up all the prices. Let's jack up the edition sizes and make as much money as we can while we're hot. Yeah, they knew I was going to just stream that drop. It's on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to stream any more BB drops, I don't think. But I would like to have other stuff to drop, and Panini's been hot, so I might stream it. I just don't necessarily know that I'm going to max out and buy 10 packs this time. I might buy a few. All right, Alejandro's going for it. As more people say they're going for it, that's going to get me more excited. Shout out to OG Smart Buys in the chat. What's up, Smart Buy? This is the new Tuesday live stream. I call it Paranormally Correct, kind of a play on the old show, Bill Maher show, Politically Incorrect, but it's Paranormally Correct. Don't ask me. All right, let's move on to our last topic. And our last topic is not really even a topic, but basically anything else that you guys want to talk about, anybody got anything cool going on this week? I just went to Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago. Okay, here's the story on the Washington, D.C. trip, right? So, I don't know, a month and a half ago, we're just in the car, and my kid is like, I want to go to Washington, D.C., which is so random. Like, you want to go to Washington, D.C.? So I didn't think nothing about it. Then a couple days later, he's like, we really need to go to Washington, D.C. I'm like, why do you want to go to Washington, D.C.? And he's like, I want to see the White House. I want to see Capitol Hill. I want to see the monuments. I'm like, really? It seemed really strange to me. Like, really? Okay. And then he kept saying he really wants to go to Washington, D.C. So I'm like, fine. We're going to take a 3-day weekend. We're going to go visit Washington, D.C. So we're getting ready to go to see Washington, D.C. And he's like, is it all right while I'm there that I go hang out with my girlfriend a couple of the days while we're there at the mall? Apparently, a girl that he used to go to 6th grade with moves to Virginia, and now they play VR all the time, and his girlfriend lives in Virginia. The whole reason he wanted to go to Washington, D.C. was, I thought this dude was interested in the history of our country's government. I still made him go to all the monuments, go to the White House. I mean, it was a pretty good trip, but I felt like it was on false pretenses. So, yeah. And apparently, or spring break, we're going back. The cool thing, though, is the homie Mr. B lives in Washington, D.C. He hit me up while we were there. Hopefully, I can hook up with him next time we're there. Smart Buy says I'm active on BV. Now, we were just talking about BV and the whole things that go down on November 19th. I was saying I've got a couple Becky Cloonans. I've got a special edition, mint number 9, and some other random stuff that I'm not, like, trying to sell because it's so hard to sell stuff anyway. I plan on just holding on to that stuff and maybe, who knows, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, they might be worth something. I mean, it would be really bad if I sold everything and then 5 years from now, BB just blows up like crazy. At least I have a couple Becky Cloonans to fall back on. You feel me? I know, man. He got me. I'm like, you could have just told me that in the first place. He's like, well, I do want to see Washington, D.C. I'm like, no, you don't. Quit. Stop it. And of course, we stayed in Virginia. And I'm always trying to get him to go to New York because I've never been to New York and I want to go. And he's like, he's so scared of New York. I'm like, do you know how bad Washington, D.C. is for you to be scared of New York? But yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on over here. The usual, doing my eBay thing, my eBay business. Just yesterday, I shipped off a Gucci purse. I'll pull it up on screen if you want. Shipped it yesterday, sold it on Sunday. for $225. Bought it on Thursday for $3. So that was nice. I've been having some good sales. It's fourth quarter. A lot of people are starting to buy for Christmas. And I'm starting to try to figure out what to buy for Christmas for my son, because he said, what do you want for Christmas? I don't know, nothing. He's got everything he wants. What do you give a kid that has everything he wants? I'm trying to come up with good ideas of what to get a 14-year-old for Christmas. And I don't know. It's tough. Washington, D.C. ain't too bad. New York can be sometimes scary. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared of New York myself. But, I mean, I would go. But Washington, D.C. seemed fine to me. Apparently, I think there's some railroad tracks somewhere that once you cross those railroad tracks in Washington, D.C., things switch up. But, of course, where we were at, the tourist area, was perfectly fine. Tons of people there, surprisingly, even with the government shut down. Like, a lot of the museums were closed. But they had these little secondary museums that were open that people probably never go to that we went to instead. So that was kind of nice. A lot of art, though. I'm not into the art. Yeah, I think we're going on spring break or something. That's what he says. I'll make him like clean his room or something to get me to go. All right, y'all. So this is gonna be my new Tuesday live stream. It might just be an hour-long live stream since it's me. You saw Doc said he's might want to come on sometime. Anybody else who wants to come on and hang out with me during this live stream on Tuesdays, just get a hold of me. We'll hook it up. Probably do it through Discord or Zoom. And yeah, this next week we'll just do the same thing. I'll come up with a new paranormal topic to kind of deep dive into, update you on what's going on with sports. And then as always, I kind of want to deep dive into at least one political topic every week too. Doc says I'm from New York. There's some places you should not go. Always been that way. Yeah, I think it's been that way since like the 70s. There's certain places, and that place like will switch up. Like one place will be bad in the 70s, but then in the 80s, that place ain't so bad, but don't go over to this place. You got also something else, all the OG drop live streaming. If BB blows up, make your videos public. I guess if you want to go back and watch the history of BB drops, there is some interesting drops that happened. A lot of glitchy drops and a lot of money making drops for sure. If we do have another BB drop that's like a guaranteed profit, I might live stream it, sure. Why not? Who knows? But I do plan on going live on Friday, y'all. So if you want to hang out or you plan on going for the Panini drop, expect to see me live around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday for the Panini drop. WNBA packs, $35 a pack. Thank you, Denny OG. I appreciate you, bro. New best show on Tuesdays. Let's go. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me during the show. My first episode of Paranormally Correct. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, I guess we'll see you on the next one. If I don't see you on Friday, I will see you next Tuesday. Later, everybody. Have a great